Welcome back to the SMT YouTube channel. Good to have you guys here. We're going to be discussing this Verizon network update. A couple things I want to discuss here, and maybe some things we need to debunk, and maybe a couple things that we actually will have to revisit in the future once we get more clarity on the situation. So let me give you guys the background here. This tower site took forever to upgrade. Verizon has basically left it alone for years. They upgraded every single macro cell around this site. There's a site that's like less than a mile east of here. There's a site that's like less than a mile west of here. I mean, the density is really good. There's macros all over the place, and these sites are tall and they have great reach. Anyways, the reason why I took this photo is because they just did an upgrade to the cell site finally. It's really the only macro area cell site that hasn't been upgraded since C-band launched back in 2020 or 21 or whatever year that was. So I took a photo of it because I haven't seen this site in about a week. I haven't driven by or anything. And then all of a sudden, after about a week's time, it's got an N77 upgrade. So I want to show you guys. Here's kind of like the cabinet stuff, the backup power, the generator. The whatever the crew did, they're done. So all that happened during the work week, and they've been gone. All right, so the work is done. There's nothing left to do. Now, when you look up at the tower site, and I took these photos with my Samsung Galaxy S25 Plus, for anybody who's asking, you will see the N77 on the right-hand side here. All right, you'll see the Samsung radio gear. And then they also changed the radios on the entire cell site for all the older stuff. So, like, they left these antennas up there. I don't think they changed those. I think that's what they've been. I don't think they did anything there. But I do think they upgraded the radios for it, and then they added the N77. I think they call this kind of work snaps. I forget what they call it, the engineers for the company. But you know, they change out all the old radio gear, and then they put the new radio gear, and then they add C-band. And in some cases, at least in my market, they had a crap ton of CBRS on these sites too. They added on all sectors. However, this site did not get CBRS. So you've got your low-band radios, you've got your like AWS and PCS mid-band radios, and then you've got your N77, which is a radio antenna combo. Right? So yeah, I'm shocked. This is like the first macro I've seen in the Cleveland market. I'm not talking about outside the county once you leave, but in the Cleveland market, it's like the first one I'm seeing that doesn't have CBRS. Even the small cells, all of them got CBRS. You know, I can't think of any where they don't that have been upgraded. So I'm kind of shocked. So I don't know if this is a situation where maybe Verizon is kind of cost cutting. Maybe they're not too worried about CBRS as much as, you know, they were before the C-band. I don't know, but all the C-band sites got CBRS. This is the only one. Now, the good thing here is this was a cell site Verizon probably didn't really have to have. If you think about it, there's a neighboring cell to the east and the west of this site, 1 mile on each side. They probably could have been just fine with the other two, but they kept this one, and they upgraded it. Even though it didn't get the CBRS, it's got the N77. That'll be 140 megahertz of bandwidth added with the 3 sectors. And it's probably going to perform great. In fact, in this location before they put the C-band, if you were testing the network there, you would get like a couple hundred megabits per second using the NRDC. And that's where they send the N77 signal from the neighboring cells over to this one. You'd get like a couple hundred meg down, and you'd get like 20 or 30 megabits per second up, which is fine. It's not great, but it's fine. Now we're going to get gigabit speed on the cell, right? And it doesn't matter. It's, you know, you think about it, it's going to take all the users that were kind of in the middle of those two cell sites, the edge, shared, you know, trying to hang on to that N77. Now it's just going to be a phenomenal, you know, signal. Great quality. It's going to be very clean. It won't be noisy. Nobody's stuck on edge and those kind of things. But this is great, right? They kept the cell site. They did not decommission it. I know a lot of people speculated that they would do this. There's no proof or evidence that Verizon is decommissioning macros. They may end up moving macros, either because of lease agreement issues or cost cutting on those leases, or maybe they're looking for an enhancement of how to build the coverage. But they're not just getting rid of cell sites. That's not a thing. And this is kind of proof of that. But I am kind of curious to see what they're going to be doing with this CBRS. I'm going to see if there's any other new builds I could find. We'll see if they put up CBRS and C-band together or if they go a different route. I'm surprised. I'm really surprised. And maybe they come back and do CBRS another time. I'm not sure. But as of right now, it wasn't up there. I'll go back in a week and check. Maybe the crew waiting on components, parts, antennas, radios. I don't know. But let me know what you guys are seeing in your market and what you think this means in terms of what I discussed here in this video. Thanks for watching. I'll actually be back to test this cell site once it goes live. The N77 was not on when I did test it, but I'll be giving you guys a follow-up for sure. Like, share, subscribe, check out some more of our videos. Go ahead and drop me your comments. Questions, concerns are welcome, and we'll see you guys soon on the next one.